Okay, now, welcome to BackChat. I say this every week. We don't like introductions here, but I will thank our sponsors off the top. Bluebet, looking after us there. Shelter, Margaret River Roasting Co. and Whippersnapper Distillery. They do the best whiskies in the world.
They do.
Ever since they've been aligned with BackChat, World Whiskey Award. We are sitting here with the one and only. I'm going to just say off the top here, I'm going to use this word once. It is my one word that I've always stumbled upon in my media career, and it's inaugural.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I'm not saying that word again. Shaun McManus, first Fremantle squad member. Hello, mate. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, actually. What a privilege to be on the show. I was telling my one of my youngest sons the other day that I was going to go on the show. He was going off his tits. He was thinking, this is the best thing in the world. I've made it. I've officially made it.
So tell the story properly, though. I text Shaun. I said, oh, mate, we'd love to have you on BackChat. And Shaun's thinking, what the fuck's BackChat? Never heard of it. Told his kids, and his kids are like, BackChat,
yeah. I think, because one of his mates, Taj Longmuir, Troy's.
Yep.
Troy, who I played footy with for many years, his son was had a chat to you guys once when you were doing something outside the stadium for one game, if you do that kind of stuff.
That's roaming BackChat.
Roaming BackChat. Is that our good friend Charlie?
It is. So Charlie over here, he does have a microphone. He is the only Freo fan in the house. So I will say, Charlie, you can start with Shaun. Say hello to Shaun.
G'day, Shaun.
Oh, great to see you, Charlie. Come on, mate. Purple hearts all around, brother.
Rein it in, Charlie.
We brought you in a Freo jumper. We got a Freo scarf. We got a Freo beanie. It's all happening back here. Now, Shaun.
Yes.
Off the top, we asked the same question to our guests. We've had 50 guests.
Yep.
Same question every time. First question. We want to know your greatest sporting achievement. Now, we know you've played football, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy.
It cannot be on the football field. We need your greatest sporting achievement. It can be grade 5. You won the Pogo Championship. I don't know what you do over there. We know you're a West Australian boy. Tell us your greatest ever sporting achievement, not on the football field.
Okay, clearly this is a standout in my mind straight away. So when I was growing up, my dad loved to race pigeons. And so me and my brother David were instructed when he started working selling real estate on the weekends. Pigeon racing occurs on the weekends for everybody out there, right? So you train the birds during the week, and then by flying them outside their cage.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday you go to the pigeon racing club, which was for me in Riverton, and you register the birds there. And then they get taken in a truck, and they get driven out to Minganew and fucking, hundreds of Ks away, full on shit. And then the pigeons all get released at the same time, and they fly home to everyone's individual houses. So we've got a pigeon racing club, Riverton, right?
I have so many.
You got so many questions?
I have so many.
Okay, jump in any stage.
Keep going.
So we can be the winner of Riverton's pigeon racing race for the day.
Yes.
Also, you can win, which only happens, say, once a month, where you get to, it's an all-in event. So it's an intra-club. It's an inter-club race.
Yes.
So you register your pigeon for a bigger race, and not only do you have to be the first home in, say, for me, Riverton, but the pigeon has to beat everyone else's birds home to their other pigeon racing club. So we had that. We had a winner, and we got a trophy, and I was able to get up and get it, because my brother had some footy commitments later in the afternoon, because he was in under 15, started playing on Sundays. So that was the day we went to the pigeon racing club and claimed the trophy. So that was it. I think we won $1,500.
Holy shit! This is how long ago? 20 years ago?
In the 80s. In the 80s. Yeah.
Was that 40 years ago?
My house with that.
So you are what? What is your title? You were the state
that was an
pigeon
intra-club race. So that would be the state. It would almost be the state intra-club championship.
Oh my God.
No shit, it was a big deal, man. It was full on. And here's the other thing with pigeon racing, which none of you guys would have a clue about. You can bet on your horses. You can bet on your pigeons. So they call it a pool, which is essentially a pool. You can bet them to come first, second, or for a place bet. And the winner, if you're obviously if you win, it's not that you get the money. If you chip in $5, you get the pool of it. You don't just get paid out a dividend, if you like. Right. You get paid the pool of the money.
Is this legal? Is this
probably not? But fucking hell, we scored. Yeah, it was unreal. So that's my whole childhood.
Racing pigeons.
Oh shit, yeah. So with that, so I talked about the training side of things. So we'd be out. So we've got a pigeon coop, if you like, and then you teach these pigeons how to land on a landing board outside your coop, and then they go in through some holes into feed. So it's almost like you got to starve them to know that they've got to jump from the board down the hole, and then that's where they get fed. So eventually you let them out the door, school them out, and then you keep them flying, you know, out the front of the house with a broom, just keeping the bastards in the air like this for fitness until you, you know, and then
fitness.
And get them you get them further and further away, and that's
part of the thing is, as we all did when, you know, we're doing any kind of fitness, you're building up. So eventually, you know, Dad would say, let's say, I don't know, after school on a Friday, we'd get, say, 10 birds out, and we'd drive them to Armadale, right? And we lived in Willetton, so it wasn't, you know, a great deal, but that was a distance they can fly home to. Then the next week we'd drive out further and eventually probably take them somewhere as far as Northern, which is an hour and a half, and that would be their final hit out before a race day.
How quick are they? Like, could you beat them home? Or are they home?
No, they're fucking lightning, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can think of that. They're not going through traffic lights there, Will.
They're waiting.
They're not looking for stop signs, my friend.
As the pigeon flies.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, as the pigeon flies. And but one thing that used to go wrong with them was Hawksdown used to get hold of them quite regularly. So they'd come home all ripped up. And then my dad would make us hold them, and then he'd sew them up with like fishing wire generally.
No.
Wow,
What?
pigeon surgeon.
It was just full on.
All right, Shaun. Well, we're going to speak to you about your footy career, but I think we're going to have to talk about time. Yeah, no, let's talk about pigeons. Mate, I got to say, that could be the best.
That is.
That could actually be the best we've ever heard here on BackChat.
That's amazing.
It beats your 5 for 16. Dan took 5 for 16 in a grand final.
Did you really?
Under
12s.
Under 12s.
True Hill Cricket Club.
It's actually a cricket ball back here. We've brought it along here. We've got it on a trophy.
I'm not the one to bring it up.
Can I ask how the dismissals took place, the 5?
I was boiling leg spinners, so, you know.
Pies or real
yeah,
decent?
Are they turning?
Yeah, pies.
Where are they turning?
Enough, yeah. No, it was the end of the innings. It was, you know, bit of spin. But I think one guy I got caught on the boundary a couple of times, so saved by the team.
All right, but let's go to footy, okay?
Yeah,
Because we are here to talk about your football career, which was one of the better ones Fremantle Dockers have ever seen. Okay, so 7th most games, I think. I think that's where you're sitting now. You finished and
they're coming for him. They're coming over the hill,
I was going
mate.
to say, you were at the top when you finished up and they're just you're coming. So 8 Brownlow votes in your first year, 9 in your second. So you get drafted, right?
Jeez.
So you get drafted 1994 after a premiership with East Fremantle. So you're a
With the
premiership
Mighty
player.
Sharks, yeah.
People think that Fremantle players haven't won a premiership.
Yeah.
Premiership player right here.
Well, how's this? So I started my under 15s was my last time I played junior footy, and that was for my club Willetton.
Yes.
So we won the grand final. We beat Linwood, who were undefeated all junior, like for fucking 5 years.
Nice.
And we beat them in the granny, and it was the first time they ever lost. And so I left there and went down and joined East Fremantle Colts just to train. I was thinking, because my brother was playing in the team and they invited me down to train in the preseason. Eventually I played made the Colts team and played that year. So we end up winning the grand final in Colts against Claremont. So I had 2 in a row, right?
Wow.
Following year I come back and I play reserves for East Fremantle. And we beat Claremont in the grand final there, 3 in a row, if you don't mind. Following year, I go back and play league for the whole year. I did play the last 5 games the year before of league, but anyway, I played the whole season of league. We played Claremont again in the granny. It was like it was just the easiest win ever. So 4 in a row, then I joined Freo. Didn't play one to 2003.
I was going to say, did you perhaps use up all your premierships in your junior years?
I thought this is fucking easy. Like, it could be easier. Yeah. So after that waffle grand final when we beat Claremont, I only watched it for the first time literally 2 weeks ago, 1994. Yeah, because Andy
cameras
Brayshaw,
back then?
they did. It was in black and white, very grainy. But Andy Brayshaw's dad, Sticks Brayshaw, played his last game of footy in that game.
Wow.
Because he became the CFO of the Dockers following that last game.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you played against him, I'm assuming.
Well, he took me out, and I had to go off in the second quarter. You got to see the footage of it. You'll find it somewhere. But I saw him in between me and the ball, and I was 18 at the time. Probably weighed a good solid 64 kilos, and I thought I'll take, I'll run to him because in my mind, I'm a big prick. And anyway, he just took me out, so I had to go off winded. Oh. It's hilarious when you see me walk off, look like an absolute idiot. Because
you would have been what, 17, 18?
No, I just turned 18. Yeah.
So right then, right. So obviously Fremantle's being spoken about was it?
Yeah, because
like the actual club, because it starts in 95.
Yeah. So what happened in June 1994? The club was announced. So there was a big spectacle on Channel 7. They broadcast it live. They announced the team was called the Dockers. the clashing colours came in and everyone's going, oh my God, looks like someone's thrown up on a jumper. So there was a period of time where we knew that was going to come in, and I presumed I would probably be sticking around to play for the Dockers. The thing with Sticks Brayshaw, right, so he took me out in that grand final. Then he becomes the CFO of the Dockers, and then I start playing for the Dockers. So the first day I end up going into the club rooms, the offices. He's called a meeting with everyone. Get everyone around, all the staff, all new people and stuff like this. And we go into this room, and I'm in there, and he gets this highlights tape up on this big screen. And he shows this highlight of him taking me out and then me getting taken off.
No.
And he just said, let that be a lesson to anyone who's working under me. This is what happens when you cross me. The great Shawnee Mac, have a look at him. He's like Simpson and the donkey. He's just in all sorts.
That is outstanding. So we had Hamish Brayshaw on the podcast about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
So that sounds like something he would do. It sounds like he's a chip off the old block. So he's absolutely stitched you up the first day at the club, basically.
First day at the club. They're all the same, the Brayshaws, aren't they? They're fucking funny pricks.
Good man.
Yeah.
A good man. I will say I haven't met Andrew or Angus, but Hamish is a good bloke. Were you a chance to get picked up off West Coast? Because, I mean, you get taken in almost before the draft. You're like a pre-selection, right, by Freo.
Pre-selection, no.
You're a local boy.
Yeah.
Is that... Or anywhere else, or was it Fremantle?
No, it was Carlton was the other one. It's because so I was already pre-selection for the Fremantle Dockers. My dad,
you were like zoned.
Yes, because played for East. It was East Fremantle, Claremont, South Fremantle, and there was one other team. I just forget it off the top of my head right now. But they got the chance to pick those guys up for free ahead of the national draft. And my dad and Jared Neesham were first cousins.
Huh.
Anyway, we went and had a meeting with Jared. It was the first meeting we had.
First coach of the Fremantle Dockers.
Yeah,
Jared
first coach of the Fremantle Dockers. And then he said a few things that got my dad up and about a little bit. And
in a good way?
No, not in a good way. And I can't remember exactly what it was. But anyway, put him offside a bit. So we ended up getting home. And Ken Judge, who'd coached me at East Fremantle the year before, had moved to Carlton and joined the Blues. And then he got wind of there's a possibility of Shaun or Henry not being, my dad isn't Henry not being happy with our meeting or whatever the case is. So they made a play at me, which meant that I had to be traded before my pre-selection be traded to Carlton beforehand.
Right.
And the funny thing along with that is there was a guy, I think it was Cole Kinnear, who was at Carlton at the time. Anyway, he turned up to Metros and bought me a few drinks because he knew I was fucking always out on Saturday night. And another time they said, mate, and the whole thing was, imagine playing with Sticks Kernahan and all this shit. You have a beer with Sticks, and they were selling it big time.
So they were selling it with beers, though.
Have
a beer with Sticks, and here's a drink card at Metro.
Imagine the beers.
100%, yeah. That's when I ordered an Illusion Shaker and just went for top shelf.
How old's Cole Kinnear? Is he some sort of... Is he a 45-year-old bloke?
Well, he would have been, yeah.
Metro's Freo?
Metros, yeah, 100%. 100%. It was hilarious. And they were saying that if I... So this went on for a while. So they were saying if I was to stay out of footy for a year, then I could go to Carlton for free, and that they would pay me to stay out of footy for a year.
Really?
Yeah.
But you and the old man said, no, that's not happening. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting that your old man getting rubbed up the wrong way impacted... like selection.
It certainly did at the start. Yeah, it really
crazy.
did. I would love to remember exactly what was said that just could put my dad off.
Would it have been about you? Like, would they have said, too slow? I don't know. Or was it something?
But it's possible. It's possibly, yeah, possible. It could have been possible that was the occurrence. But yeah, that kind of played out a little bit. And then my sister's best friend, Melanie Magro, her name was, her dad was at Collingwood as an assistant coach. So then he ended up fucking coming over one weekend. So there's all this shit going on because my dad had a bad fucking chat to Jared one particular day. Anyway, I ended up staying as I did, and certainly glad I didn't. Although Carlton won the flag that 1995 year, and they picked up Scott Camporelli as their wingman. So I was the wingman. Yeah, so they ended up picking up him, and he's a great star and have been for 15 years of his career.
Wow, okay. So you get to Fremantle. You've got a rough relationship with Jared Neesham, apparently. What's that like, coming to a football club that does not exist the year before? Like you guys,
it's really weird.
Like how many blokes are in that first squad? I'm not going to say that word. I'm not going to say
the I word.
Yeah.
I think that there was probably around the 60
Oh, wow.
people, Mark, who got invited because there was a heap of train-ons.
Yes.
So we came down the club the first time and everyone got a tracksuit and T-shirt and all the rest of it. So heaps of purple and all that kind of stuff. And this is the best part about it because I'm a boy from well, any of us really. Think about this, Dan. You lob up to a professional outfit. Your parents have only scraped together money to buy you one pair of boots all your life. You probably had hand-me-downs the whole way through.
Yes.
And then we turn up there and the guy from Nike, which was, John, his name was, but Johnny Nike was there. And you get to fucking pick a pair of boots. Not only you get moulded, you get a pair of screw-ins.
Wow.
It was crazy. And not only did I pick up a heap of boots that day and thought I'd won lotto, when we were about to walk out, Swan Brewery were the sponsors at the time. We love Shelter on this show, obviously.
Yes.
But
my man. See, Sean's been doing media a long time.
But they were the sponsors at the time for the alcohol. So I walked out with a carton of fucking Emu Export. I drove home. I was living with my mates at that time. I said, have a fucking go at me. I'm killing it.
A carton.
Oh, you got drink cards from Carlton. You've got a slab of beer from Freo. And you're happy. No worries.
It's all on.
Oh, that's how good's that. So what is that like, though? You got the purple tracksuits on. You've never been together, building that culture, you're trying to build a winning culture from scratch, from like you said, your zoning players plus train-ons. Is it pure West Australian or is there other states there? Like, what's it like building the culture?
Yeah, it was difficult, I think, at the start. So Ben Allen was our captain, and he came from his Hawthorn background. Dan, he played in premierships and first and best player and all that kind of stuff. He set a really high standard. He was an absolute professional, and that was probably the first look at what professional AFL football looks like. But then it was probably Jared as well, Jared Neesham, and Neil Danaher, who joined us straight off the bat. They were really trying to take us to that next level from waffle players.
I didn't know that.
He was inaugural assistant coach.
Did not know that.
Yeah. After the first game, he was blind getting off the plane.
Danaher's good drink.
He was blind. He was so happy that the team performed particularly well their first game, but I still remember that. And I worked with Neil for ages under him when we were doing heaps of video stuff because he was like this expert in the AFL when he came in with Essendon on, cutting clips and, looking through opposition tactics and the like. But yeah, so Neil was great. But anyway, Jared and that set it up. We all kind of had to go semi-professional at that period of time. But the one thing that we had going through Will at the time, more than anyone else, is because Jared's mindset on how AFL footy should be played was 10 years ahead of anyone else's. 10 years.
Wow.
It was enjoyable, and we had an understanding of a proper system and a game plan that is modern-day football as we see it now.
Really?
Yeah, no doubt.
But at the time, it doesn't work?
It was ridiculed. No, we consider we were a bunch, say Ben Allen, right? And then there was a couple of other guys who had played, a handful of AFL games. But then we were a waffle team.
Yes.
So, at that stage I might have got up to 70 kegs. So we were a waffle team. And can you remember when you weighed that much?
Oh, absolutely. I was 77 when I got drafted, but
There you go.
I've got about 20 centimetres on you. I couldn't do one chin-up. I still remember the day. They got Mitch Brown, Eric McKenzie, these big guys at the same age as me.
Yeah.
Do a chin-up, boys. And I was like, what's that?
Really?
What's that? Brownie's done 12, I don't know, body weight. Eric McKenzie's done 15. I could not do one. I had to jump off the ground. That's how skinny I was. Anyway, this is your show.
So Jared was ahead of his game.
Yeah.
I just thought the way he saw the game was absolutely outstanding. So the first year, I think we won 8 games. We might have drawn one as well in there. But we started... So I reckon, if you think about the Gold Coast and GWS, Port Adelaide even, none of them won a fucking game, mate.
No.
Not one. We won 8 games of footy and we
impressive.
played some, really exciting games. We got injuries and then it really fell away, obviously.
Yes.
But the following year, I think we won 10 games and might have run one, or it might have been 9, and then the following year we won 10 and we missed out on the finals by a game.
Wow.
That following year. And we were decimated by injuries in the last game. I think we were playing... maybe St Kilda or Carlton that year, which is third year, and decimated by injuries, and they were right down the bottom, and they beat us, and that probably cost Jared his job. But we played a very exciting game of football. Oh, actually fun, Will. Think about how long ago since it was when you played AFL footy when it was actual fun, playing a style of game. Yeah.
What was it like that first win? And also, I want to know about the team song, because like when players join teams that maybe they weren't a fan of, they know the song just because you hear it around the thing. But
Yeah.
Fremantle theme song would have been brand new. So is
Yeah.
there like someone holding up lyrics and stuff? Or
I think the piece of paper went around down in the early days because we got ahead of ourselves before round 1 against Richmond. But so people had to learn it then because you had to hear it over and over. Like
It's the same. It wasn't it's the same as it is
no,
now.
it's not a new song.
Oh.
Has been a push to change the song, and I think.
Didn't they come up with it on the Footy
Yeah.
Show or something? Or was that the Giant? I feel like
I
it was,
think the Giant. I like the Giant song.
yeah,
I like the
it's
Giant
one
song.
of the better ones.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't hate the Fremantle song, Charlie. I mean, I haven't heard it enough in the past, but
there has
we're
been
starting to
some
win games
changes to
now.
it over the years.
Okay.
'Cause it used to just be the free way to go. I can't, no, and then it's a bit more rocky now, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. They chucked a rock into it.
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
No.
Yeah.
well, if Fremantle could learn anything from West Coasters, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't change your song.
Don't go and employ a rock band. Birds of Tokyo.
Yeah.
We love Birds of Tokyo, but
They're West
not
Australian.
sure.
We'll go with them.
I'm not sure what we've done over at West Coast. I'm not quite sure what we've done with the theme song because we had to go through the same thing, learning the theme song because they brought in this war cry in 20.
That's right.
It must
Was
have
it
been
18?
20. No, we weren't doing that in the Prem. No, absolutely not. Even if it was like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
And we all had cards like the game. We had like cards on our hand with arms around because there was this. They do like a war cry at the start.
Yeah, yep.
Born is pride
Yep.
from isolation. It's the worst ever. It still is the worst ever. I will say it is the worst ever. It's shocking. Anyway, back to you. So 95, talking about your first win. What was that first win like, and then your first derby? Because I was spoken to you a bit about that. But.
Yeah, so I missed the first win, which is against Essendon. We played at the Wacker,
Yep.
and the crowd was going mental, and it was a Friday night game of footy. We played because we were playing at the Wacker early days. They were night games.
Was it your home ground?
Yeah, it was seen as our home ground to start things off, and because they're night games, everyone just gets full of piss. They have the best fucking time, and if you've ever
Full
played
strength
at the Wacker,
beers as well,
full
probably.
strength for sure. We'll be drinking shelters to our eyes fucking collapse. Everyone gets stuck into it, and the Wacker's a really fast track, and it suited our style of footy as well. So that was the first one. My first game, though, wasn't a win, which is only a couple of games later, and that was against the Western Bulldogs in 1995 in round 5. We went down. Ben Allen had a shot after the siren from about 70 metres out, and it was a fucking tough kick. It was a real tough kick.
70 out.
Yeah, no, I reckon it was a good...
Just give me the ball.
Yeah, it was a Malcolm Blight special.
Yeah,
it was a Malcolm Blight special, and it got to the goal square, and we just went down. But that was a great time. My first game, I remember every second. It was mint.
So what about your first derby? I wrote an article and texted you a little bit about it earlier in the year, but that must have been a big moment, given West Australian footy. You're a West Australian. You've grown up watching West Coast play, and then you're standing national anthem looking at them.
Yeah, it was amazing because of the game before that we played Sydney, and I played a okay game, but I thought I might have been a chance to be dropped because it was such a big game, and whether they brought in some more experienced players, not that we had a great deal. So the build up to that game was fucking huge, mate. So it's on every bit of paper that you could see around the state, and everyone got involved, and then we stand out in the field and. There's great photos of the two teams standing there, and if you look at the Dockers side of the field, the body composition of the guys, it was just hilarious because you can actually see Waffle guy, probably under 18s team almost, standing next to a bunch of professionals, which is the West Coast Eagles champions.
Just won the flag.
Yeah, just won the flag. So they were big and strong and all that kind of stuff, and they really wanted to show who was the number one side. But anyway, we're standing there, national anthem, it's full on playing. I'm standing next to Spider Burton in the photos. Fucking hell, mate, it's hilarious. He's skinny and tall, and I'm skinny and short. And it was a really interesting position to stand in. But I came on in the second quarter. We'll get him beaten quite convincingly. I think I came on the wing. My first bit of play, I tackled John Worsfold near the boundary line. He should have got a free kick. Anyway, he said, "You fucking touch me again, I'm going to rip your arms off and stick them up your ass." And I'm like, "Fuck you," I'm going off.
Oh, you went back at him?
Yeah. I remember telling my dad after the game, he said, "You should have challenged him to a fight. You fucking knocked his head off." And in my mind, I'm hard as, even though John's one of the greatest hard man of all time.
Would have been hard to fight him without any arms, though, wouldn't it?
Oh, exactly. Oh, he would
Rip
have
him
torn
off.
me apart, mate. Jesus Christ. So that was the start of my game. And he terrorised Winston Abraham that game. I played on Winston and pinched him and he did all kinds of stuff to him. Really stuffed Winston up that whole game, terrorised him. But It was huge. Brett Heady had a massive game.
Yeah.
Don't remember if you guys you won't remember
Was it
anything.
physical?
Yeah. They were really physical, and hats off to them because they were just bigger and stronger, and they came in absolutely firing. So John was throwing his weight around big time. Blue McKenna on the half-back line. Obviously, Swimmer and that were up the front end. I think I ran onto Craig Turley to start with, and then I ended up on Peter Matera. So, yeah.
Welcome
really
to the
good.
AFL, basically.
Yeah. I'm standing next to him, and, every girl had a poster of Craig Turley on their wall. He was the heartthrob of heartthrobs.
Well, wasn't that Shaun McManus? Look, I don't know.
Yeah.
But wasn't that what Shaun McManus was? What
what you
turned
became.
into?
Oh, that's what I became, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Still am. Still am to
Oh,
this
sorry.
day.
Yeah, sorry. Not past tense. Yeah, sorry, Sean. You must have had a good year that first year, though. You played State of Origin in 95.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
did.
right?
Yeah, played in State of Origin. Yeah, I had a really good year. I played some really good games in the end.
a
And
young
it was
player.
enjoyable. Yeah, it was really enjoyable, Will. The whole thing being involved in the State of Origin, getting selected, was a real feather in my cap. But I was saying to guys recently that, when I turned up and we had a couple of training runs, but in particular one on a Friday that was at Subiaco Oval, and everyone was asking me, what am I doing after the training session? And I was thinking, go home and, sit tight, and it's a whole weekend. We got 2 more sleeps and then I'm playing this massive game. But the players that I was playing with, they were all going out the piss. They were going to Northbridge and just going out the piss. Oh, fucking hell, mate. This is probably why State of Origin died, because they never took it that seriously. And then
Who did you play? Did you play all states or did you play?
yeah, we actually played that particular game. We had to play. They were called the All Stars because we had to play Queensland, New South Wales,
Tassie,
fucking
Northern
Tassie,
Territory, yeah.
all combined. So big Matty Richardson, I remember him being in the team. Nathan Buckley, I think I started on him in the guts or something along those lines. So
Bucks, Queensland. He played at Brisbane to start with.
yeah,
maybe?
yeah, I think to start with. He
And then
was
Richo's a
South Australian.
Tassie boy.
Yep.
So the All Stars.
Yeah, that a horrible jumper. But again, no, I think maybe you were talking to me off air before about Billy Brownless. For some reason, I feel like Billy Brownless was in the team. There we go.
New South Wales. Billy.
Yeah. So they went into Northbridge as well. They got blind the night before, a couple of nights
Good.
before.
State of Origin. It's like on the field. Yeah. Don't worry about that. It's like when it's hit Northbridge, then we're
on.
State of Origin.
We're on.
Do you think it needs to make a comeback, State of Origin?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm all about it. I think we got the rugby coming up, which is going to be huge over here. And when we see it, even how big it is with New South Wales and Queensland. People all over Australia watching it. It's not just those 2 states because they can see how intense and the rivalries there. The only issue would be, how do you mix the 3 main states, South Australia, Victoria, and obviously WA? How do you get that format going between them? Because then you're going to have everyone else put up their hand and they want to be part of it, whether you're from Tassie, Northern Territory, or whatever. I don't know how you're going to run the rest of that shit.
Do you just build an Allies team? I actually built them about a month ago, just for mid-season. I thought West Australian was close to the strongest team. Victoria's got a very good midfield and good forward line, but the Allies team was pretty good.
Yeah,
like it was pretty good. South Australia was actually the weakest out of the lot right now. If they played right now. So I've said I reckon they need to move the finals bye from before finals, because that doesn't advantage. Since we brought that in, that's not doing the right thing like they want it to do. Move it to a grand final bye like we had last year.
Yeah.
So put it after the prelim, between the prelim and the GF, and play it there. And then the two teams that are playing the grand final, obviously their players can't play, and then everyone else can play. It would just disrupt. It would disrupt a few footy trips. There'd be a few blokes in Bali, I reckon.
Oh,
Thailand.
yeah. Jordan De Goey style.
Oh, gosh. It would have spun.
Fly in, fly out.
Okay, so 95, first derby. Fast forward a little bit. You do your knee in 97.
Yep.
And then you rehab that, and then you do it again in 98.
Yeah, against Port Adelaide, that was at Footy Park, and I was leading for a kick by Chucky Norris, Jason
You
Norris.
did your first one in a derby.
It was a derby.
I went through your whole career. You've had some big derby. You're the king of derbies.
Yeah.
And good and bad.
Yeah.
Like, so you did your ACL 97 in a derby, and then your second one at Adelaide.
Yeah, so the first one I was trying to get Jason Ball because I hated Jason Ball. I still don't know to this day. I've had a few beers with Jason Ball, and he's a good guy, and that was in Rotto recently. But I hated him for some reason. I fucking just thought, I don't know, he's a pretty boy, fucking schoolboy cunt, and I was going to say that?
You can say whatever you
Okay.
want.
Anyway, for some reason, and then in hindsight, what was I thinking? Like, he's a big guy and I'm a little guy. Anyway, when he got the ball in the back pocket, and it was the Subiaco end of the ground, and I just come pouring in at him, and then he steps one way and I step the other, and my knee just gave through, gave way, and then down in the change rooms and got told that I told the physio at the time, Loopy Lowther, that my kneecap had dislocated, and that
bit of self-diagnosis.
Yeah. So he put a bit of tape on, and then I went back out, and then I couldn't move. Our doctor, he gave it the test, which I think a lot of people have been through, and he said, mate,
they've strapped you up and chucked you back out
yeah,
there.
a bit of fix the mole, a bit of fucking go and tape it aside, pull the kneecap over to the side. Well, you would have been through that at some stage, no doubt.
Well, gosh.
Surely the moment you stepped sideways, it would have just
Oh, yeah, once I got out on the field and got to the dugout, the doctor was like, man, no, this is unstable. We're going back in. And then he said, I think you've done your ACL. So, yeah, I was so upset after that. Your whole life just flashes before you. And for me, I was kind of thinking that I was, honestly, in my mind, you think, I've had a few good years to start the AFL, and I'm thinking, I'm just going to fucking dominate and probably win. I've said this before, I'll play with the Brownlow this year. That's how good I am. And
perfect.
State of Origin for the third year in a row, all this shit.
Yeah.
I've got it all happening. And, yeah, it really devastated me. It really did.
Yep. And was that difficult to get through 2 years of rehab? Because you're not playing footy. You came back and played a few games, but you're effectively missing out of the game for 2 years.
Yeah, the hardest part was it meant that I could go to Metros on Friday, Saturday and Sunday night. And when you do that for 2 years straight, it fucking hurts you, mate. I tell you what, it catches up to you. So everyone goes, geez, you put on some weight in the gym and that. And that's because I'm drinking piss all the time.
Mate, you're lucky the...
Inaugural Fremantle member, inaugural Metros Freo. Plaque on the wall up there.
Oh, mate, they let us in and they get us drink cards all the time. And we used to go absolutely spare there. Yeah.
If the phones and social media were around, it'd be an interesting time, I'd say.
Yeah, I remember the first time there was people got videos on their phone, and this is so clear at the end. It must have been early 2000s when our CEO Steve Rossage came to us after the last game of the season. He said, "You guys aren't allowed to start Mad Monday on any time before 10 o'clock." And we're like, "Fucking what?" Because we normally start at 7.
Yes.
And he's going, "No, it's too much happening now on social media, and Channel 7 want to pay for." They want us to pay for anyone who can film. People have got you can film on phones now, guys, all this shit. And I'm just sitting in the corner next to Belly because he was captain. And I'm fuming, mate. I'm just thinking, a day of changing tradition.
3 hours of drinking.
Yeah. And the other thing we couldn't do was have a skimpy service drinks at any stage. Oh, like, this has gone too far. This is taking it too far, Steve.
Start at 7 a.m. with a topless waitress.
Exactly.
That I've had enough.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you didn't retire right there and then.
I felt like it. I really did. And then I tell you what, he was on the money because that's what the world is these days. Thank God we weren't a part of those video phones, Will?
Correct, Jordan DeGoey. Yeah, well, I was. Don't let me. I was a very, very well-behaved young man.
Of course you were.
Yeah, absolutely. Just turn the phones off, please. Okay, so 97, 98, difficult part in your career, but you come back in 99 and you win your first derby.
Yeah. We had lost 10 in a row. Is it more than 10 in a row? Do you know that?
I think it was Derby 10
Charlie?
that he won.
Yeah.
How many have they lost? Oh.
Yeah, he's right. It was Derby 10.
It was Derby 10. Okay, yeah. So we came on. I had this knee brace on. It was like a half a mattress on that knee brace.
Yes.
And I had the hair in the ponytail, which is it was a brave move.
Good look.
I reckon it was a brave
remember
move.
that.
Yeah, we got off to a really good start, and we were really keen to just get off to a really good start. The weather was a bit overcast at that stage. I think Tony Modro we had in our forward line that day, and also the mercurial Clive Waterhouse.
Oh, mate, you've just mentioned a couple of names that we would like to see on this podcast. Godra. Sam Butler used to be a part of this. He's a South Australian.
Yep.
So he grew up watching Godra.
Yep.
And Clive,
Yep.
similar to you, cult heroes of Fremantle.
Yes.
So they're both in the team. Very good.
Yeah, so we had a bit of firepower up forward. Brad Weira, Spewy Weira, he played in the forward line as a defensive forward, which hadn't been seen for a long time on Weira. Because Weira was Dave Weira-Punda was a rebounding backman, as we know, and he would just control it all the time with his beautiful kicking. And Spewy ended up kicking 3 goals on Weira, and fucking Modra kicked this goal out of the boundary line. Then he was carving up Millie McIntosh at the time, because Millie was his knees weren't going too great at that point in time. So
A couple of knee braces out there.
and the one thing was that Clive was the one. He kicked 7 snaggers in that game. He went absolutely ballistic. Yeah,
Was the Modra one where he's like bashing?
yeah, that's the one, Dan. Yeah,
Yeah, that was a good goal.
yeah, it was a
Right on
great
the
goal from the boundary line.
Dan's
So
a very big West Coast fan, so the reason he remembers that is
hurt.
Heartbreaking moment. Yeah.
mate, after that, so everyone poured into the left bank, and I'm telling you, it was absolutely mental. Like, you would have thought, I don't know. Not that only that we won the flag,
but
but we won
premiership.
some,
It would have been like
some kind of
premiership.
world title. Yeah. It was
It was amazing.
It was mayhem, yeah. Mayhem. Absolutely mayhem.
It would have, like, you would have been the Kings. The Kings.
I'm pretty sure I was able to get behind the bar and pour my own drink. I'm not joking.
That's so good. That is so good. Okay, so you win your first derby. We got that monkey off the back a little bit. Then your co-captain, 2001, leading a team. You've only been there 6 years. You haven't played for 2 years.
Yeah.
Says a bit about you as a leader and as a team man.
Yeah, I put a lot of work into the footy club. It meant a lot to me, and still does, because I guess you've heard it 100 times before, but the people with the most invested have the most to lose, and I felt that I had a shitload invested in this footy club, and obviously injuries and all those kind of setbacks, but it just makes you hungry to make this club, the team that I was playing for, successful. So I was ripped. I tore pre-seasons apart. Like, I could go. I don't think I could go any harder, but I was trying to lead the way in that period of time, and I was able to join Fletch as the co-captain that year, Adrian Fletcher. But I did make a few mistakes, Will. I reckon the thing that I did that I could have been better about, and it's a positive and negative. So the positive was I was always making sure everyone around me was okay, and I reckon that distracted me from playing my best footy for a couple of years.
Yes.
So the guys who weren't getting games, Damien Drum was our coach at the time. He would pretty much, like, if you're not playing for the Fremantle team, then you're a shit kicker and you don't get a word. No one speaks to you.
Even in the hallways, just walk past you.
Yeah, and I felt that way all the time with those guys. So, I would sit down and watch film with whoever it was and watch their games and have a look at their reports and talk to whoever it was once again about their games and try to be invested, because I wanted to make sure I was a leader in that way, that I showed that I cared.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I shouldn't have cared as much, but I reckon I sometimes thought I was trying to cover for the lack of leadership from our coach and do it that way than performing myself on the field, and I reckon I dropped away at times, for sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's interesting reflections.
I reckon I could have been better. And sometimes it's not sometimes. Leadership is about performing on the fucking field as well.
Yeah.
So
but when a team's not going well, like you felt the pressure, you had it on your back basically, right, as a captain.
Yeah, but
and you wanted to make everyone better.
But I could have gone, okay, well, I need to make sure that I'm performing as well as I can. But I probably was more so throwing time into making sure everyone felt $1 million, and that's not how footy clubs operate. But
As captain then in 2000, we had Andrew Embley on last week.
Yep.
You mentioned your name. 2000 is Demolition Derby. Having played under quite a few captains, usually when things like that happen or a team comes out quite physical, it's either the coach or the captain that drives it. It's not the shit kickers down the bat like me going, let's fight them. It's driven by leadership. So what are your reflections? Did you have much to do with driving that, or did that just start? Emma said you might have some decent reflections on the day.
Yeah, I do. So what happened in the lead up to it, I did a press conference. I'd like to say I have not seen it I don't know how many years ago. That was a long fucking time. But anyway, I did a press conference, and through conversations with the coaches at the time, we're going to come out and be as physical as fuck. So I made a point of referencing this is going to be the hardest game. We're going to draw a line in the sand. Really? It's going to be physical. It's going to be all that shit. So then we had conversations, obviously leading up to the game, that there are no rules. Yeah, if you get involved in a fight or if it just happens to come about, there's going to be no rules here and you can just go for your life.
Right. Doesn't matter.
Damien Drummond denied this. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the club had a thing that was saying whether this is, they definitely gave you an idea that if you were fined, that there was going to be a coterie group would help us out with the payment to the AFL.
Right. Did that happen?
No, of course not, mate. I got fucking fined a shitload. Not 1 cent. Not 1 cent.
Embers maintains he was the only bloke in the entire Demolition Derby that challenged his fine, and he got off.
He wanted to go on
the footy trip. He wanted to go to the footy trip. He was a young bloke.
$2,000 for Bali.
Yeah, so he challenged it, got his $2,000 back, and then got to spend it on the bar at Bali.
Oh, so my fine was $4,500. I was the highest one because I'd been done for melees in the past. So you got a
right
thing.
Bad record. You had a rap sheet.
I've never hit any. Well, never got suspended ever, but a few melees along the way. But anyway, we start that game. And obviously, people see the highlight. Oh, before we go out in the ground, you know, Damien Drummond's speaking to me and Fletch, and he's going, you know, make sure if any of the young guys get in, you're fucking in there flying the flag. Just fucking make sure it's super physical and, you know, smash in as hard as you can. With that, I remember this so clearly. Heath Black, and he's only a young guy at the time. He comes in, he goes, excuse me, Drummy. He goes, yeah. I was just going to let you know I'm going to smack Phil Matera. I've not told this to Phil. He's a good bloke. I love Phil, actually. I love him.
Just going to let you know.
Yeah, just going to let you know. And anyway, in the first, I think it was the first quarter, Heath Black did his groin and never played after that. And Phil Matera was going to wear one right in the Chevy Chase.
Wow.
He would have been belted. Wow. Absolutely. But the game starts where you see that Mickey Gardner and Pav dancing in the goal square together. The jabs, yeah. That was hilarious. And then it gets involved later on.
Pav didn't quite know what he was doing.
No, that was hilarious, wasn't it? Just trying to fucking swat his hands off. And
that'd be scary because Ember spoke about it like it wasn't like a footy game. It was a street fight.
It was, yeah. It was. So then we had a big melee, and that started, and everyone just piled in, absolutely piled in.
Because you blokes had no rules.
Yeah, we were allowed to get involved, and that was just the perfect opportunity to jump in. And Phil Reid seemed to be the guy that everyone was picking on.
Right.
Go, fuck this, let's get into Phil Reid here. And
why Phil Reid?
I don't know. He seemed to piss everybody off, and I'm an Estuary Mountain boy, and so was he. But he was the first guy I got into a headlock and on the ground, and then later on, Dale Kiggett belted him a few times. And then Brad Dodd punched him in the head and got 2 weeks for that as well. Obviously, Dale got 7 or 9 weeks or something along those lines. It was pretty hectic. And then we all had to front the tribunal the next day. The game was a fucking beauty because what happened is the Eagles at halftime or in the third quarter were up by 36 points, I reckon, 6 goals. Yeah. And then we came back. We got a couple of bits of momentum going our way. And then Troy Cook ran through Mitchell White like you've never seen. You've got to see the replay of this thing. He fucking killed him. It was unbelievable. Troy Cook was hard, he was hard as his table, hard as the walls, and the ball was between Mitchell White coming out from the back line, deep in the Subiaco end of Subiaco Oval, and the ball just went over Cookie's head, and so Troy Cook's running and Mitchell White's running. You can see one person's running harder than the other, and Troy just cannons into him and just fucking flattens him, gets the ball, handballs at someone, and we kick a goal to bring it within 3 goals, and then the whole joint, the roof's just coming off the joint.
Yes.
We are just up and about.
So it's a Freo home game.
Kept coming.
Freo home game?
Yep, I'm pretty sure it was a Freo home game. Kept wrestling people, kept fighting, and got to the last bit, and there was there must have been under a minute to go, and we had a boundary throw in at West Coast end in the Perth City end, which was where your old change rooms used to run out of, Will. Yep. There was a boundary throw in there, and I remember standing next to Benny Cousins, and I was going, fuck, hell, mate, this game's been unbelievable, and he's smiling his head off. I'm talking to him, because it's just, it's just been a mental game, and we're 1 point in front. And sure enough, within, 20 seconds or so, I think we got a second ball up in that area, and the siren went, and we all went bananas. It was so cool.
Were you given words after the siren to the West Coast boys?
That's a good question.
We weren't. Like I said, just getting to that point of the game, seconds out from the end, I don't know how long to go, and I'm talking to Ben in a positive way because it was just funny. In reflection, it was a fucking mad game. It was an absolute corker.
So there was no hard feelings after that, or was it?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Not from Freo.
We won. Who gives a shit? It was funny though when we turned up to the tribunal on the Monday or Tuesday, whenever it was. So you just go into the city and they do that video link call and all the rest of it. Anyway, so we're all in there. Heaps of people from LA's and whatever. Dale Kiggett's in there for striking. Brad Dodd's in there for striking. All on Phil Reid. Phil Reid walks in. He's got 2 black eyes. Oh. It looked... He'd been smashed. Yeah, poor fella.
Do you remember the following derby after that? Was there like a feeling
repercussion?
We're going to cop it?
No, there wasn't any repercussions at that stage. To be honest, there was a period not long after that, physically we thought we had it over the Eagles. So the Eagles had a star-studded midfield for a great period with Daniel and Juddy and Ben, Braun. Embers was obviously a great fucking star player for them. So that was an unreal midfield. But we had some real, blue collar, Josh Carr and Matthew Carr, and they want to fight everyone, obviously, all the time. Cookie's hard as fuck. Belly's our captain in there. I'm playing on the wing and stuff like that. But we had a really good period against them because we believed, whilst that they were much more talented bunch that we would be able to scrap them to death. You know, when we walk out there, Matthew Carr playing on Ben Cousins, he's like, "Fuck this cunt." Walk past him, knee him in the leg. You know, there's all this.
Yeah.
Those boys, the Carr brothers in particular, were really hard at it. So was Heath Black, and they love to walk out in those games. And, you know, I remember when Ben first got his tattoo, Such Is Life, on his chest, and the boys found out this before. No one knew about this in the public. And we're doing the warm-up, and call a couple of us in and goes, if as soon as we get the opportunity and we get to tackle Ben Cousins, just fucking rip his shirt off. I'm going, what? He's got a fucking tattoo. You think he's a fucking bikie. Let's just get him to the ground, rip his fucking shirt off. And that has happened time after time in the first half. Everyone's just fucking wrenching out his jumper up, T-shirt, so you can see his tattoo, and just launching into it.
Were they pitching it?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. They were using all the everything you could do to make sure we got under his skin. But, yeah, Dan, that was a pretty good period anyway through that part.
That's very good. You want to ask the mascot question? I'm interested in this.
Yeah, I was just doing some reading. In 2000, the Dockers brought out the doc, and apparently it was based on your image. Did you have anything to do with that?
I should be paid. Don't you reckon?
I've seen
everyone's saying there's a cost between me and Clive Waterhouse, so it's your pick. But
it was you, wasn't it?
Well, I did have a run-in with Mrs. Dock at Metro's one night, so...
Who's Mrs. Dock?
Well, that's how Mr. Dock came about. Mr. Docker came about, obviously. Dan, come on, you got to pick up on these things.
Sounds like you spent half your time at the Freo Dockers and half your time at Metros.
Told you I was interested.
You're an entrance in the back.
That's always interesting, and people to this day rather reflect on me and Clive being a love child. That's our love child, but it's nice if that's a reflection. That's great. Can I go back though to if are you going to talk about any more derbies? I'm just going to bring up one.
Bring it up.
When we play this international rules game.
Great.
Yep, that's where we're going.
Okay.
So
throw a question at us.
No, tell us about the international rules game.
Good question.
Instead of that part around it, That's perfect.
No, that's good. Tell us.
So we fly over there, and the West Coast Eagles came off the back of the flag that year.
Yep.
And we got rolled in the prelim against Sydney, and that really fucked us because West Coast had lost the prelim. No, their first final against Sydney
qualifying,
yeah. Otherwise, we would have come through West Coast, who'd beaten twice that year.
Wow.
Instead, we go through Sydney because they had won, and they were a really structured team. We were free-flowing. And now I believe that was the only team who could beat us with Sydney. Anyway, they did. So we end up... West Coast obviously wins that grand final, great grand final, and then they come over to London, and then we're playing them in this game at the Oval.
Yeah.
And we had played Collingwood a couple of years before, and they had 14,000 people there, which is a record. It's just a cricket ground. They don't have big stadiums around, but they put in new seating to make it to 17,000 people, which was sold out in a flash.
Wow.
And you get to the ground, and everyone's on the piss. Everyone's just for cancer fossers. They're going hard.
Yeah.
All the Aussies there to watch this game. And everyone, us and the Eagles guys, had nights before we had events at like Australia House where they put on, fucking meat pies and just as much as you can drink.
Right.
So we had a great time.
It's like a footy trip over there, and you happen to be playing a game of footy.
Yeah.
You're not only going to play a game of footy.
Nah, but when you run out the ground, you are after you've run around and warmed up 5 minutes. How dry do you think you are?
Parched.
Oh, parched. It's pretty full on. So anyway, our coaching. So the two coaching boxes were next to each other. John Worsfold wasn't coaching that day. He was like sitting in the background or in the stands. Our coach, Chris Connolly, wasn't coaching either. Kelly O'Donnell was the name of the assistant who was coaching us. Anyway, we're just going to go out and have fun and have a good old day, and knowing that at some stage the crowd will get involved, they'll jump the fence and, just be absolute anarchy, and the game will be called off and we can all go and have another beer again. But
just before that, you guys are just like mingling as mates out at pubs and stuff, or still the two teams are separated?
No, Dan, we actually saw each other out a fair bit. A fair bit. Right. We were quite separated in doing our own stuff at a pub, but we did see each other out, and there was no hard feelings.
Yeah.
There was definitely no hard feelings until we played the game, and then in the second quarter, Ryan Crowley ran through someone.
Matt Rosa.
It was Matt Rosa,
yeah.
And Crow's. He was never a dirty player, although he's known as the best fucking tagger in the league for a long time.
Yeah.
He wasn't one that punched people in the head and stuff. He might have been pinchy or whatever the case is. And I hadn't seen him lay a shirt front on anyone ever. And we were just near the play, and I remember I was next to Drew Banfield, and the ball bounced, past me and Drew probably, and Matt Rosa must have been going for the ball. And Ryan Crowley ran through him, and all it was just like, and I didn't see him. And Matt Rosa is just on the ground. I'm like, fuck. Well, I didn't even know what happened. And Krause run through him. And it was the cleanest hip and shoulder of all time. So anyway, Matt Rosa gets taken off, and then Woosha storms into our coach's like, what the fuck's going on here? This is supposed to be a friendly, blah, blah, blah. You guys are taking it too full on.
He was trying to fight. Wasn't he trying to fight Conley?
He was trying to fight our assistant coach, Kelly O'Donnell at the time. And so then they all got in a bit of a Barney without throwing punches at each other. So then Woosha and the team go back to their coach's box, and then Chicky's not playing right, so Chicky was a hard guy in their team. So Chicky, they're like, "Fucking Daniel, get out there and start fucking knocking over a couple of these fuckers." So then we're like,
"Sit out the hit man."
Yeah, sit out the bloke with fucking 9 fingers or whatever.
yeah. That's how hard Chicky is. He got offered, have surgery on your finger, stop playing, or chop your finger off, and you can keep playing. Chop it off. Let's go.
That's right. Yeah. So then, and then Troy Cook was on the bench for us, and he goes, "Well, fuck, I'll come on there," because Cookie's known Chicky all his life from the Geraldton days and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I played junior footy with Chicky. He was never a hard guy. He was a good footy player. Yeah. So we kind of had an insight to that. Anyway, Cookie was like, "You go anywhere near them, I'm going to fucking wrestle you to the ground." So we end up being Chicky and they're good friends, wrestling each other, and fucking everyone's trying to get hold of Krause when they killed and fight him. And in the meantime, the game's going. It turned into a bloody ripper. The crowd's going mental because they're seeing all kinds of shit. Jeff Farmer's kicking goals out of his ass, like full-on goals out of his ass.
Yes.
So then it gets to the last quarter, and I get everyone in for a speech. I said, "Mate, we're in front. We only have to hang on for 5 minutes. People will start jumping the fence. The game will be called off. The crowd controllers can't deal with the crowd. I've seen this before. No problem.
What?
We just have to last 5 minutes. That's all." Anyway, the crowd controllers did hold everybody back. And the game went for another 20 minutes. Everyone was fucked out on their feet. They couldn't run another metre. And we hung on at just one. Following the game, we all get to go on our bus. And did Emblis tell us he got on the bus?
You just keep telling us.
Yeah.
I'll tell. Yeah.
Okay.
He's told this story, so I want to hear yours.
Because of the Crowley situation and the fights on the field, Embers is sitting on the sideline. He didn't have to play with a number of other guys. I think I saw Ben before the game, and he was cooked. Ben had not probably slept for 7 days.
That's correct.
And I saw him before the game, and he was absolutely cooked. Anyway, all those boys were enjoying the hospitality, and then got fired up because their team, teammates were in fights and stuff. And then Embers jumps on the bus, and he's on to have a go with fucking Krause. Wants to get him off the bus.
On your bus.
On our bus. He fucking forgets that Anthony Grover's there, who's sitting in, and Groves gets up. Anyway, Embers luckily left the bus. And big Anthony Grover, who had a relationship with Embers because of his Mrs. Rain and Groves' girlfriends and friends. And look, mate, you don't want to be fighting Anthony Grover or piss him off anytime soon because, mate, he's got hands of concrete and he can properly box. And he's 100 kilos, mate. So I'm glad for Embers' sake that he ended up getting off that bus or getting away. Because
Groves dragged him off or something. Embers said Groves literally dragged him off and said, "Listen here, mate, you're not going to be doing
25 this. 25v1.
Yeah. It was really funny, but I'm glad Embers jumped on there just for a bit of shenanigans. And because you don't see that. It's never reported. That game wasn't shown on TV. It was a fucking doozy. It was an absolute doozy.
Just like imagine the actual footage of it and commentary. We've had stories from a few people. So Sam Butler was there.
Yeah,
he spoke about the boys not playing. So Embers spoke about it last week. They were up in a corporate box. They were in like the richest bloke in London. Hey, Bond's box, right? And so they were, like you said. And at some stage, Sam Butler's told the story that after the game, all the crowd's on the ground, and there's kick to kick everywhere.
Yeah,
and
it was.
Embers somehow made his way out there and was kicking balls in the air, and then shirt fronting random people. He's out in the middle of the ground just fighting people.
Because that's what happens. You get fired up because that's your team playing, Will.
Yeah.
2 years before, we were playing, we played Collingwood at the Oval, and I wasn't playing, a couple of other guys. And so we were in the cricketers' change rooms where Shane Warne was on the balcony with the stump that day. Have you seen that highlight of him?
Yes.
Anyway, we're there, and the game was about to start, and then we didn't know if we could have a beer or not. And then one of the directors said that we were with, he said, "Oh, come here. Do you guys want to have a beer?" And I was like, "Fucking oath." So they pulled out these. I don't drink VB at all because I normally drink Shelter IPAs. But they were the coldest beers I've ever had in my life in London, which is hard to get because everyone drinks warm piss over there. Anyway, we're just getting stuck into it. By the third quarter, Matthew Carr, I remember, he walked out on the oval and started spraying everyone because you're full of piss and you get excited.
Yes.
And particularly if there's some physicality, you want to get out there and get amongst it. So I appreciate Embers being on the sidelines, wanting to get out there and get involved and hit a few people.
Basically, you've just done 2 footy trips, Freo and West Coast footy trip, and you've played a game in the middle of it. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Embers even said he didn't even know what had happened. He just heard the name Crowley. He was like, all right, I'm going to get him. He didn't even know anything.
It was, it was really great.
A couple of other big moments that I wanted to ask you about. The collision. I don't know what you want to call it. David Wirapunda and you in 2001. Courage or stupidity on your behalf?
Well, you'd have to think stupidity.
Well, I don't mean stupidity, but just you mustn't have known there was someone coming. I play with Bo Waters, right? I name him as probably the most courageous.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff he used to do, I'd be out there. I'd just be like, "What are you doing? What on earth are you doing?" And I've watched that one with you with David Wirapunda, and I thought the same thing. I just thought, "What are you doing?"
I was looking for the one too. I was looking for the one too because Andrew Shipp got it, and he was a real stoner back in the day. And anyway, he kicked the ball, and I just went spearing onto it because I just needed to get the ball. That was basically it.
You were looking for the ball.
I couldn't care less what was happening around me because I just wanted to play well, and that was the opportunity to get the ball.
Yeah.
So it didn't really matter what was coming. You know, I really thought it was Ash McIntosh who cleaned me up because I didn't watch the highlight, the highlight, if that's a highlight.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it for a while because I just know that I was, really, really hurt.
Yeah.
And then, when I'm laying down on the ground after that collision, trying to work out what was going on, Clive Wardhouse, can remember this clearly, he said, "Stay down, I'll take the kick." No shit. Stay down, I'll take the kick.
So you remember it got you in the head though, didn't it?
It got me in the head. I wasn't great. So I got up and it took me a while to take my kick, which I remember just focusing on 3 steps, 1, 2, 3. That's all I want to say in my head. I remember this clearly.
Yeah.
And then I kicked it and went through right. And then I sat on the bench and I was hurting. Like I was sitting there going, "Oh my Lord, I know what's going." Everything was just a bit too much.
Clive just wanted a goal.
He wanted a goal,
Freebie.
mate. He did.
There was also the Nick Holland hit. You've had obviously some big ones.
Yeah.
Is there any that really haunt you still? Is that Wirra one the biggest?
No, I think the one that hurt me the most was Nick Holland. That hurt me the most because I cracked my ribs. Yeah.
You sort of flipped upside down.
Yeah. And so it got to half time, and that was just before half time, and Belly called out for me to go, "Shorty!" And then I just turned and just ran and went for a mark with the back flight the floor, and he cleaned me up. And anyway, we got to half time, and I sat down in the change room, started to cool down, and everything was hurting. Like I was like, "Fuck, I don't know if I punctured my lung, but it's hurting, right?" And so we're getting done by Hawthorn. And then Chris Connolly, the coach, comes up to me and goes, "How you going?" I said, "Yeah, good." And he said, you need to do a job on Shane Crawford. And Shane Crawford's a running machine. So for the second half of that game, I played on Shane Crawford and was tagging him. And, he tackled me, I tackled him. And it was just, every time it landed me, it was so painful. And got to the end of the game and I was in all sorts. I couldn't, sneezing or coughing. People trying to talk to me. I couldn't talk to them because I felt I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So the doc was trying to get me sorted out, and we had to go to the hospital and check if my lung was punctured and stuff like that. The coach didn't come up and say a word to me. Not a word. Didn't fucking know. We turned up to the airport after I got the clearance to be able to fly because my lung wasn't punctured. And Peter Swab was the opposition coach, and he comes up to see if I'm okay. No shit. Opposition coach comes up to talk to me and see if I'm okay. Chris Connolly. Couldn't give a shit. Wouldn't even recognise my name or my face, I reckon, Chris Connolly. Opposition coach at Tassie Airport in bloody Launceston sitting beside me talking to me, am I okay from getting cleaned up in that one? Wow. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there are a couple of big hits. I didn't used to put myself in those positions, Dan. I was too smart for that.
Yeah, you are smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
And then I was playing the waffle, broke my back doing exactly what you did. Just like, which is why I talk about stupidity, because I was just trying to get the ball. I was just trying to mark the ball. I wasn't going back to show the boys how strong I was to drop back in the hole. I went back, knee in my back, broke my back. Taught me a nice lesson. A couple more. So towards the back end of your career, right? So 2005, and now I won't speak from first-hand knowledge, but a bit of radio did. People are calling for you to retire.
Yeah.
To finish up. And you say, piss right off, I'm going to play on. 2006, one of your best career years.
Yeah.
Play almost every game, if not every game, all 3 finals. Like you said, playing a prelim. Does that, on reflection, is that one of your best years? Is that how you look back at that year? And
100%
will,
yeah.
To everyone else?
Yeah, 100%. So go back to that game. That in 2005, before the season started, Chris Connolly brought me into the office and he told me it was going to be a hard year for me. And I was wondering, like, I know that I was a hard trainer. I know that I was a hard trainer. And yes, you know, I played some shit games. There's no doubt about that. But he told me before the start of the season he was looking to give some other guys a go. And I was still thinking in my head, well, if I get dropped, then I'll work my way in. I'll play well for East Fremantle. And I'll work my way back in, so be it. I'll still be able to play a significant chunk of the season. In that year, I played 7 games.
Wow.
And I was absolutely ruined mentally. I spent a lot of time with Neil McLean, and I'm not sure, Will, if you spent any time with you, because I know he's at the West Coast Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So I spent a lot of time with Neil, catching up with him. He lived in Cottesloe. Me and him were down at Vans, so we looked like we had this gay relationship going. We're down there that often, just having a lovely cup of tea, and I'd have a cake with some cream on it. Just all
sit there and cry your eyes out. Probably.
I was all like that.
Yeah.
So I was really down until we went to that. So I got to the end of the year, and this is all my stories are long. I do apologise, but
please don't. It's literally why we exist.
So I get to the end of the year, and I was certain that I was going to get the chop. Absolutely certain, because during the year I played really well for East Fremantle. I pride myself in still playing really well, and then coming in thought, well, they can't not pick me this week. Guess what? No, they didn't pick me. Following week, they can't not pick me this week. Guess what? And then I was just fucking pissed off. So I guess the end of the year, Chris Connolly pulls me out of the player lounge, and he asked me to come outside for a chat. And I thought in my mind, this is it. He's going to delist me. I was quite prepared for it. And we walked outside, and he said, I just want to let you know, you'll be sticking around next year. We're not going to delist you. I actually felt like there was two feelings. One was, thank God I'm still around, but the other one was, I was almost disappointed I didn't have an excuse to tee off and have a go at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird combination in your mind.
Oh, like I've spoken a bit about similar experience really. Like I was almost delisted in my 3rd year, towards the back end of my career, you know, turned into a role player. And I had the same meeting. Walking in, I was like, all right, here we go.
It's happening.
Hey, Craig Vozzo, Adam Simpson, come chat with us. Door shut behind you, and you're like, oh, well, here we go. And then they sort of presented this case about, you know, we want you to play on, that sort of stuff. And I had the same feeling. Like I was ready to just go, I've played so well in the waffle for you. I've played a role. I've built your culture. I've done this and that. And you're just going to flick me out. And then they didn't. And it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah. It was really hard. So we end up playing. So it's 2005 was that trip to London, I think.
No, end of 2006, I think.
I'm going to go with 2005. I made a mistake.
I mean, you would know. I would not know. Yeah.
It was after the losing grand final, I think.
That's the losing one. I thought it was off the winning one. I do apologise for that. But so when we went to London and I played that game, even though I said I was, you know, dry as a camel's hump, I got plenty of kicks, and I fucking walked off the game apart from all the great stuff that happened. But I thought I can play at this level, and I'm not going to let these fuckers hold me back. So again, when we got to pre-season, and I'm not sure if you went through this, Will, at times whilst I knew I was a hard trainer, I'm out there having a good old time and going about it, but because of the pressure I felt from coaches' eyes a lot, I would not necessarily be forefront in every drill. Maybe, you know, sometimes, you know, I'd make sure I get the ball a few times. I'd fucking handball it to Pav or whoever else, give it to Belly, you know, that kind of stuff, because they can, you know, they're the guns, and I don't want to make a mistake because then I don't get yelled at. Yeah. I reckon I subconsciously had that in my mind, but I just changed that about myself. So I came to pre-season training, know that I can play at that level because I played that game. And it's just a shit game at London, but I just went fucking nuts. And every time I took to the training track, I just screamed at everyone. So if, you know, on my team, Pav took over as captaincy, and I just fucking abuse him till he gives me the footy, you know? I was at the front of every drill, and training wasn't just, you know, you're running through and, you know, do match sim. I'll tackle everyone to the ground. Everyone's going to the ground. Everyone's going to cop one in the head at every training session. And I wasn't going to... And that was only a defiance towards probably the coaching staff.
Yep.
Mark Harvey joined our coaching staff that year, and before the start of the preseason games started, and I knew I was, regardless of how I knew I was training, I was always going to be, 28th player under Chris Connolly. And so I went and saw Mark Harvey before the start of the preseason games, and I said to him, can you have an open mind about me? I know you're new. Can you just have an open mind? Because I don't believe the others do. And if you do have an open mind, I won't let you down. And he said, yep, I will. I'm new to this. I'm happy to go down that track. And we played pre-season games where I started the first game and they had played, like 25, 26 players because it was a hot day. And I played like 20 minutes. But I didn't make any fuck-ups. Just did as well as you can. You can't do that much well.
Yeah.
But then I went and saw the coach, got in his face. What do you reckon? He goes, yep, no worries. There was nothing to make a mistake about because hardly on the field. But at least I was front of mind. Then I go hard at training. Then they didn't give me a game the next week. Pre-season game against North Melbourne away. And then finally the last game was a pre-season game against Port Adelaide. And I went in and saw Chris Connolly and I asked him if he can just, he's resting some of the guys, can you just play me in the middle of the ground?
Did you ask him or did you
I
tell
asked him, can you play me in the middle of the ground? I'd love to have the opportunity to play in the middle of the ground. Yeah. And in the end, 2 days later, came back to me and goes, why not? And I had a blinder because I know I'd done the work.
Yeah.
And I put myself out there and I demanded so much of everyone that pre-season. And I demanded so much of myself. And I was able to then start the season. I got picked for the first game. So I've come out of that is by far the proudest time I've ever had in footy. Yeah, most definitely.
Do you look back on that? You clearly changed your mindset coming into that pre-season. Do you look back and go, gee, I wish I did it for the rest of my career? Or was it just was it impossible? Like you also, it's like. It's a
really good question. So when I first started AFL football, I just thought, everything's going to happen for me. And then I got injured and I became a hard trainer. But there's also a difference between being hard and physical training and also having a handle on your mental state when you're playing, because there's a lot more than just being, I can lift more weights than anyone and I can run further than anyone. You've got to be able to handle the pressure. And I don't think I handled the pressure well. And until I put myself under the most pressure and just said, fuck this. It doesn't matter about the mistakes. You've got to keep pushing through, and brought my training to life every single day, then I would have been in the wilderness still. I'm so glad I did that, and I wish I'd done it earlier. And it was a lesson that I could tell to a lot of other kids and a lot of other people out there. Don't just fade away into the background because of the thoughts of other people around you. Don't be that person. Chuck yourself out there. And if you're going to be knocked off or cut down, do it your way.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that. I didn't realise you and I had... I look at you and I think Shaun McManus, absolute star, and I still do.
Thank you, Will.
But I look at you as a far echelon above me as a player. But just listening to you today, I think we have quite a lot in common in terms of the coaching relationship, training. So I had similar... I can hear you talking, I'm like, that's literally me.
I always used to wonder about... There are people who go through... who never under that pressure. Like Belly always played the way he was able to play because he never got a coach looking over his shoulder and selection. He never did. But there's a lot of players and who were in our situation, and there is enormous amount of pressure. And I think the coaches forget that they can have an influence on how you are going in a big way, negative or positive. And they often get carried away with being hard asses and trying to tell you what you're doing wrong all the time, rather than, obviously coaching you, that's what it's about, but also inspiring you to be better or allowing you to be the person you can be.
I was the most dropped player in West Coast history, I think. I asked, there's a couple of stats guys out on Twitter, and I asked them to do it at the end of my career, a certain number of games, sort of like a percentage ratio thing, and I am number one in that regard.
Far out.
And so... I agree with you. I think there's a lot of negativity, and the best year I ever had was 2015 when Aaron McKenzie, Mitch Brown both did their knees.
Yep.
And coming into that season, I was, 4 deep probably. And they go out back-to-back in the preseason. Mitch did his round one. I didn't get picked round one. Mitch does his ACL. And then I play every single game for that year. And the confidence the coaches had in me was forced because there was no one else. I'll tell you right now. It was me, Gov, Tommy Barras, who... It was his first year coming out of Claremont. He'd spent a lot of time down at Scarborough with his mates. If you were at Metros, he was whatever's down at Scarborough.
Look out.
And so there was me and Gov. And so the confidence I had, I was never going to get dropped. And it was the most enjoyable, best year I ever had. But then you come out of that and it goes back to the same shit. And I had 2018, it was dropped again, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, again, not about me, but I do think there's a lot of lightness.
A lot of people who'll be listening to this would be under those circumstances at the time. Yeah, it's just difficult. AFL, and it's not meant to be easy, obviously, But there are people who have different journeys to others, and it's always good to hear a different point of view. But I remember that year, Will, because you played tall and small. You had them all covered. You had a blinder, and you're a great runner, obviously a 400-metre champion. Is that right?
800.
800, okay,
Just double it, another lap.
Speed and endurance, what a combination. But, yeah, I remember it was a fantastic year, and I also remember the fact that, the people would say, the same old bunch, here we go. It was almost like a scapegoat.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely, yeah.
Take Will out of the team.
Was that the same? At stages in your career, were you the scapegoat?
I don't know if I was the scapegoat. Chris just went, I think he thought that I might have been too big for my boots around Fremantle. And that's not because I had a big head. It was probably because he thought that I wasn't good enough to have, be as well known or respected in our community as what I should have been.
That's what days nights at Metro Freo do.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, when you're there, when you're the people's champion, out amongst the people, what do you do?
Champ, Shaun McManus. Your last game, let's finish your career. When else would you play your last game than a Western Derby? You are the king of derbies from what I've seen. So, I haven't remember what round it was. You remember what it was? 2008.
18 or 19.
18.
2008, a Fremantle home derby.
Yeah.
You win by 33 points. What's that like? To know it's your last game, to have effectively a farewell game almost, and to win it in front of your home crowd against your arch rival.
Yeah, it was quite an amazing day, really massive build-up. And, throughout your career, when you're in the media, sometimes it's not that positive, would you believe? And that was a whole week of positivity about me.
Yeah.
It was great for my family and friends and supporters to come along. I thought the West Coast Eagles, the way they supported me at the end of the game was great. I really thank them so much for all the players and also the staff who wished me all the best during the week and after that game, and they lined up and you get clapped off or whatever. Yeah. But I really do appreciate that. I do appreciate my teammates knowing that was going to be my last game was for the team. It was something special, and I know people like Pav and Luke McFarlane had great games, and they were they wanted to perform because I'd played with them for so long. In fact, I think it was the week before, we were playing Adelaide, right? We're playing Adelaide over at Footy Park. And me and Mark Harvey had a chat, and I was going to finish, the best way to finish would be in the Derby. Yeah. So at halftime, Mark Harvey says to the group, and it was a real tight game, he just yells out, all right, everyone, Shaun, how many quarters of football have you got left? And I said 6. Wow. And then everyone went a bit quiet, because that's declaring that I was going to finish the next week. So he thought that might be a way of us winning that game, which we did. We won that game. But afterwards, we all spoke and said, can everyone keep it quiet until Shaun announced it to the public? Well, my good mate Byron Sham, I love him to death. He gets interviewed by ABC Radio, and he's
post-game.
Post-game. Oh, and it's Shaun's second last game, and he's retiring next week. And are you serious? But anyway, back to the game itself. It was great. We won. Some guys played some really great games. A lot of fanfare and all that stuff. I was able to walk around the Oval Dam with all the kids and do a lap of honour in slow motion, because I was lapping up every second of it. But it was really lovely. It was really, really lovely how that all ended that way.
Yeah. Okay, so Freo career done and dusted. You spoke about your pride in the jumper and in the club, and you put a lot of work into it post your career as well. What's it like watching this current crop? Flag mantle. Now, I know a lot of people connected with Freo don't want to talk about flag mantle. I know that, because if it was the other way around, West Coast, I wouldn't be doing this. But because I'm not associated with Freo, I'm just going to get right around the boys and hype it right up. Well, what's it like watching this current crop? They're clearly getting a lot of things right, and they're putting themselves in a very good position this year.
Yeah, certainly are. They're hungry. Some of the small forwards are getting very lively. They're one of the, I think they're the best defensive team, forward half defensive team in the comp. They're causing turnovers. They're going nuts. Justin is coaching a really fun style of footy. I reckon they're manic when they need to pressure. They're kicking the ball around. The defence are taking marks willy-nilly these days. I reckon Justin's got them going really well. Yeah, it's so good to get along to the games, Will, and be a supporter/pass player and see them so competitive week in, week out. They look fucking hungry to be successful.
A good crowd at Freo. I hadn't experienced too much of it West Coast for a long part of my career. Been working with Fox Footy and Seven this year, and I see the crowds now, and it's a very different crowd to West Coast. I don't know if you have the same, you don't see many West Coast games, but very different. Young, energetic. It's a good atmosphere to be at for our games.
Yeah, it's a really good. It's timing obviously as well, because now we're back in the spotlight with young players. Are going to get a new audience, and that's going to build over time. So that's really fantastic with the club going forward. But we've got some talented players, and you get them obviously for finishing down the ladder, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, Andrew Brayshaws and Sarongs and
West
all
Coast
these
will
guys.
find that out next couple of years. I
know they'll get the chance to be able to select a few players in the drafts the way their seasons ended up. But yeah, no, I'm pumped. I love going along, watching the boys go at it, and I feel every bump. I'm sure you do, but I feel it. I feel the bumps. Yes. I want to lay the tackles. You know, I'd love to be down there and still involved and being a part of it. I feel like I kind of am, because I've got strong relationships with Justin Longmuir and Peter Bell and a number of other players. David Mundy's still playing. I think Fremantle's got the best coaching staff, by the way. Have a look at their bloody coaching staff. Everyone's played everyone's played 300 games.
Mate, so we went through at the start of this year, and anyone who doesn't listen to this podcast doesn't know this, but we made a case for every team why they can win the premiership.
Yep.
And not only did we do Fremantle, but my chat was about the coaching staff that they have. And I experienced that at Peel last year, because I played with Peel.
Yep.
So I saw Joel Corey, I saw Josh Carr, I saw Boyd.
Yeah.
I saw it's incredible.
Yeah, then we
Jamie
throw in
Graham.
we added Murph to the
Murphy,
Jesus.
Bell, who?
Jamie Graham.
Jamie Graham.
David
What a
Hale.
champ.
David Hale was there. You know, like it's. I agree with you. Now, finish off on these last two questions before you get to social media. I do. There's no long. We're going to get you out of here.
Yeah, I'll make them quick.
No,
we appreciate it. I feel bad that we've kept you here so long.
Mate, I've been dribbling.
It's great. I don't want to kick you out, but I need to hear the answers to these two questions.
Okay. Can you talk us through putting bananas down your pants?
I've got the world record.
Yes.
It's the world
You're
record.
Wow, so you're a world record holder.
That is official. So the most amount of bananas down your pants whilst wearing them. So I was wearing tracksuit pants. I tucked my tracksuit bottoms into my socks just so that none can slip out the bottom, and I just rammed them in. A bloke over in the US or Canada, he stole the record off me, so I had to do it again. Oh shit, what an arsehole.
There'd be people around going, I want a world record. I'm going to look at this and try and steal it.
And also, I've only recalled this happening this morning when I was reading about it, but I remember it at the time, your mum winning a Melbourne Cup day.
$485,000 she won, picking the first four, and that was a half a unit for $12 she outlaid at the Mount Henry Hotel.
You're kidding.
She picked... Every year when she does the Melbourne Cup, she goes Gay Wardhouse if she's got a horse in it, because she's female. And then because of our heritage, then she goes any other Irish horse names. And she put 4 horses in box. They can come in any order. $12. And it won her $485,000.
What was that phone call like from your mum? Did she call you and say...
I was at the races at Ascot. My brother came up to me and said, have you heard from your mother? And I went, nah. He goes, she's won the quartet. And I was like, what? Mum doesn't bet. She's not a better. And he goes, have you seen the fucking dividend? And I'm like, nah. He goes, it's almost $1 million. Jesus Christ. And I'm like, holy shit, we're flipping out. Because Mum and Dad had been through a rough period for a couple of years, probably about 4 years leading up to that really financial rough period.
Really?
And it felt like, no shit, it felt like it was just a, you know, I'm born a Catholic, haven't been to church for a long time, but it felt like some kind of a blessing or some kind of a miracle.
Divine intervention.
Yeah, it was. It did. It really did feel that way. But
wow.
She's pulled that out of her ass, Mum did, and she saved the farm, so to speak, and
really,
just on the whim by doing that. Gay Waterhouse's horse, which is called Green Moon, it paid $20, and then Fiorentina paid $80, came second, and the 2 other horses I forget now, but Jacklebury was one, there's another, and I can't remember the other one. But how's that?
How bloody good!
Yeah, amazing.
I think sometimes, like, imagine winning the lottery, right? Like, well, what would you do?
Yeah.
What did you do as a family? Like,
we went over. Any great victory in the McManus house is celebrated with takeaway Chinese. I think. I think that's
the cheapest possible reward.
Yes.
My mum would have firstly bought a bottle of Yellow Glen to.
That's great.
The celebration was just at the oldies home, and so people had asked me, geez, did your mum flip you any coin, for the rest of the family members? But no joke. Mum and Dad had been through a really tough financial period, and that was honestly to save the farm.
That's incredible.
That's what it did.
That's amazing. I've never heard that story, so that's good. Very special. I like that. All right, so here we are. I know you know about this, Shaun. I know you said you didn't know about BackChat, but you would have heard about social media. And
of course,
that is some of the best work you'll ever hear. Not social media, social media. This is where we get our fans to ask you the questions. You've heard enough from Dan and I today.
Yep.
We get them to send them in, and there's been some little doozies come in from our fan base, I'll tell you what. So this is their opportunity to ask you the questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Social media. Here we go. Mark Blakely.
Blakely.
Yeah, there you go.
You did. Thoughts on the prospect of a Western Derby grand final in 06? What that could have looked like. Personally, glad it didn't happen because the Eagles already had lost both derbies that year.
My thoughts were I was hoping that this was going to take place because I could just see the spectacle being a mad fight, like a full-on punch-up, like old-school style, and no one would have cared if you got suspended afterwards. I'm really disappointed that never took place, and I often think back to that. That us playing Adelaide and them playing Swans.
You think you would have beaten West? You beat them 2 times.
Yeah, and I reckon it would have been. And I do think we would have won, but that's just my take. Regardless, I reckon it would have been a humdinger of a game, like a full-on punch-up that the whole of Australia would be talking about to this day.
It's pretty amazing that 2015, the same thing happened. So Freo finished on top.
Yep.
West Coast finished second. We both played in prelims, and it was meant to be a Western Derby grand final. I remember.
Two best teams.
Yeah, because on the Friday night, Hawthorn played Freo, and I was going for Fremantle. I probably have similar thoughts to you. I think we would have beaten Freo at the MCG.
Yep.
But Hawthorn, who we'd beaten in the qualifying final, I was just thinking, please don't let them through to the grand final because it's at home. They'd won already 2 grand finals. It was not the matchup we probably needed. And Freo, you boys cooked the bed for it.
Massively, but there was a couple of things, and this goes to your game too that you played in the grand final, Will. They shot the lights out with their goal kicking. It was unbelievable. So Subiaco Oval, they're pegging goals out of their arse. They hardly kicked a point. And, with momentum, one team kicked 6-6 and the other one's, 9 straight or 9-1 or 10-1, and it just really hurt. And they got you in the grand final in that first quarter. Yep. Obviously Hodges kicked one out of his arse. Rioli's kicking them.
That was on there.
They did not, they didn't miss, but maybe those goals are points because they're tough kicks, like all of them.
The game.
And the mentality is different. It changes the game.
And 2013 grand final for Freo, same thing happened. Freo wasted a lot of chances that day as well.
First quarter was big time.
But that's how footy goes, isn't it? All right, short for Decker.
Favourite Guernsey.
Favourite Guernsey, the green away Guernsey. Oh. Yeah, the retro green away one. Yeah, absolutely. Loved it.
Charlie, do you like that one? Have you got a few? I asked you to bring all your jumpers in. You brought one in.
We definitely have had all of the Guernseys in the past. Could not find any this morning. I think people have been pilfering them.
Charlie's been very excited to see you coming in. And
Charlie, likewise, mate.
I said this morning, bring all your Freo shit in. I want to deck it out, piss the West Coast stuff off. You bought one jumper in.
I think there's a key ring back there.
The green jumper for me, I can't wait to see it again, hopefully this year.
What about Scott Five-Dale?
When playing with JL, did you ever think he would move into coaching?
No, not at all. JL, he's a great country human being, as they all are. Show me a country guy that's a dickhead. You won't find one. They're all great people. And JL was a great man. Loved hanging out with him. So then his career ended up finishing early because of his knees. I will say that Justin Longmuir would be one of the greatest ruckman come forwards we could have ever seen, particularly in WA.
Wow.
He should have been... I've got no doubt, at 26 years of age, he could have been one of the greats. I'm talking,
Luke Jackson sort of player? Luke Jackson sort of?
Yeah, but if Luke Jackson plays 250, 300 games, because Justin was on charge for that. He played 140-odd games. He was a genuine star.
Wow.
I mean, he wore a long sleeve all the time because his arms were he had toothpicks for arms. But Justin could have been an absolute freak show of a player. And I didn't think he'd go into coaching. He got involved when he retired just to stay involved in footy, and then it morphed into that. And one thing I love about Justin is he went and educated himself with all different people around Australia in leadership programs and specialists in different areas of coaching, not necessarily footy, to make him the person he is today. And hats off to him.
Yeah. Alex.Mara. Know the answer, but I think...
any relation to Rove?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Of course, Johnny's my first cousin. His name is John.
His name's John.
Yeah, so he's always been Johnny to me.
John McManus.
Yeah, Johnny.
Rove McManus's name is John.
Yep. So they live one street apart. They were in Doon Place in Willerton. I was in Rana Court, one street apart. They had a pool, so every summer day after school we'd get over there and pool pony races and bomby comps and all that kind of stuff.
Did he ever have any? He was a very big celebrity back in the day. Probably still is.
Yep.
But he was like one of the biggest TV.
Yeah, he was.
Of all time.
He was. Of all time.
Did you get a cousin invite along to any parties?
No.
Take him to metros at all?
Yeah, early days. I took him to the tunnel. One night. What? That's a sacrosanct in so in Melbourne when we first started playing for the probably decade of my career, I guess, maybe to the 2000. The Tunnel was a nightclub in Melbourne where all the footy players used to get a $50 drink card.
It turned into Star Bar, I think.
Okay. Star Bar. Okay, yeah. Okay, so anyway, I took him there because when he first went to Melbourne once he was in a comedy in Perth and he first went to Melbourne, of course he didn't know many, he hadn't reached the levels yet, so he was...
Reach what you've reached. Big dog.
Big dog getting around with his $50 drink card. I also had a gold card to the men's gallery too. That's another story. But
is that a strip joint? Yeah. I'm assuming that's a strip joint.
That's in King Street.
A gold card.
So Rove would be eating baked beans on toast every night because he wasn't at the levels he got to. But in the end, obviously, with his genuine talent, he ended up being a star, an absolute star. I love him to pieces.
I remember about Rove. He used to run this segment that I've always wanted to recreate. They used to put a camera in a random spot facing like a hill, and they'd go, if you're watching Rove, flick your lights on and off.
Yeah.
I
do.
I used to watch. We used to live on this hill in Geelong, and I always used to think, imagine if I get to turn my lights on and off on Rove. That's what I used to watch. And we should better recreate that. I think.
That show was huge at the time.
I don't know if we've got the same pool as Rove, but
it
could be similar.
You pick one, Dan. I've lost track.
Will Shaun... This is from Annie Lane. Will Shaun swim outside the shark net this summer?
I did a couple of times.
What is this? I assume there's some sort of...
Okay, so the shark net's down at Cottesloe Beach.
Yes.
And a lot of people are swimming, say, from almost Swanbourne up to Cottesloe and back in the open water, right? So in the open water, you're thinking, Jesus Christ, I'm going to get rolled by a big one here. No doubt about it. So the guys I swim with a lot of the time, we just swim inside the net. And there was only a few occasions, it was twice last year, where we got outside the net and stopped, shitting our pants and we're going to get killed by a shark. But here's the good news for me. Spider Burton's 7 foot and he has a dominant left arm. So when we're swimming from Cottesloe to Swanbourne, he would always start swimming further out because his left arm would take him further out. So anyway, I just stick on the inside. I just stick on the inside with him and just mirror him all the way down. Know that I'm going to have some kind of breakwater if a shark came along.
Spider's swimming in circles with his left arm.
The one-legged duck thing.
What about two left? Kyle Sinclair _ I want the second question. I don't know what is going on here, but I'd like to know.
Question 2, Andy Brayshaw paying for your groceries.
Oh, yeah.
Andy, what's going on there?
Oh, okay. Settle in for another 10 minutes. Last Friday.
Fucking hell. I thought you were going to say 10 years ago.
So last Friday, I was leaving the house. I had to pick up 2 of my boys from schools in Fremantle, right? So across the road, where I'm in East Fremantle, Palmyra across the road is the Woolies. Yeah. And I'm about to leave and Mrs. going, we need dunny paper and toothpaste. And I was like, fuck yeah, all right. So in the car, I zing into Woolies. And you know how all shopping centres are built. So you walk in there and all intentions are getting 2 things. Yep. Well, in the end, I just start grabbing shit because straight away I saw crumpets were half price. And crumpet. You like a crumpet, by the way?
No, but I know he will.
Will. Why not?
I don't like the consistency. They're too... I don't like
them.
Yeah? Nah, just bread. Bread's fine.
Yeah, like a sponge.
Yeah.
I get them for my kids, so...
I don't.
Oh, okay, good excuse, Dan.
Sorry, I'm taking you off, but yeah, not a crumpet fan.
Okay. No. So anyway, I got the crumpets, and then I thought I'll grab some dog food, and then there was a couple dog food's in the meat section, so I grabbed some more meat. I was like, then I saw these ribs were on special, like they're fucking 25% off, smoky barbecue ribs. So like, I'll get a couple of packs of these. Anyway, as you can see my story going, I end up spending a fair bit of money rather than just getting the 2 things.
Yes.
So when I come around to the self checkout, I'm doing the bags, scanning myself through, put my food in the bag, put the bag off and getting the next bag up. With that, Andy Brayshaw comes past me and because he lives around, not far from me, but he taps me on the shoulder. G'day, mate. How you going? I said, oh, great. And then I started saying, well, how good have you been this season? Because I haven't spoken to him for a while. He's been great. And
How good are the ribs? 25% off.
Crumpets.
do yourself a favour. Did you try the crumpets?
It's on the microphone.
Jesus Christ, mate.
Yeah.
Get on it.
We get some crumpets down here for Andy Brayshaw.
I'll free. And anyway, so I'm talking to him for 5 minutes. In that time, I'm getting a phone call from one of my boys because his school finishes at 3. The other one finishes at 3:15.
Right.
So I'm like, fuck, I know my phone's grabbing. And then I get Andy like, yeah, mate, great. All the rest of the stuff. Yeah, thanks, cheers. And then I grabbed my bags and I had a big thing of like 20 kilo fucking dog food as well, just biscuit things. So I just grabbed that with the one arm and I've grabbed the 2 shopping bags and then I'm just off, right? So I'm off to the car. Zing off, and I go to first kid's school, grab him, go to the next one, and I'm sitting in the car waiting for my second son to come in the car, and I just thought I'd look at my account because I knew I was supposed to do just grab 2 things, and I knew that I'd spent around $150,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at my account, and it hasn't come up. I thought, oh, maybe I use a different card, so I look at the different card thing and look on that account, and no, it hasn't come up either, and it just took me a second. I'm like, I haven't paid.
Wow.
I just ran out of the shops and didn't pay.
Wow.
So anyway, I zing home and I give the groceries to the missus. I go, I've got to go back to shops. She goes, what's going on? I said, I haven't paid. You idiot! You stole. I go, it'll be fine.
You robbed the Woolworths.
Go to prison.
So I go back to Woolies and I walk in and the girl who's around the self service thing and I said, oh, excuse me, I'm so embarrassing. I'm sorry, but I didn't pay. I left without paying. She said, what do you mean? And I said, oh, I see that. Checkout just there. I walked away, and that checkout for some reason it was like it had been like there was tape around, been locked off.
They've printed a photo out of Shaun's face already.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen this?
So I said, no, that one there, that's it's not in use. Obviously, I didn't pay, and she goes, oh no, that's fine. I went, oh okay. She said, your friend paid, and I was like, my friend? She goes, yeah, that guy you were talking to. And I was like, oh no. So Andy Brayshaw. Wow. The lady's gone up and said, oh, that guy, your mate over there didn't pay. He's just running out of the shops. He's gone, what? He goes, yeah, it's $147 and he hasn't paid. Can you give him a call? And he was like, I don't have his number. I've just contacted him on Instagram every now and then. And he goes, I don't have his number. And and then in the end, so he had to pay.
Oh my
he paid
God.
from so when I walk, I'm like, oh, are you joking? So then I ring Justin. I ring JR. I'm like, mate, thank God he answered. I'm like, JR,
You've got a big issue here.
yeah. I go, Shorty, what's going on? Mate, plenty's going on. He's going, yeah, when are we going to... I'm like, mate, I can't... Let's not talk about anything here. You got to send me Andy Brayshaw's number. He's like, what happened? He goes, he's just paid for me groceries. I walked out of the shops without paying for him. He's got stuck with $147. He's like, oh, yes, got him, stuff him, That's a trap for young players, all that shit.
Have you paid him back?
I literally went straight over. I rang Andy straight away and I said, mate, I can't believe what happened. Give us your address. I know you're not too far away from me. And I drove straight over there and gave him the cash, $150.
That's unreal.
What a knob, hey! And you know what? That's the second time. This is even worse. I don't know if this is the worst story, but this is a different way of looking at things. So I was at Coles, and I reckon it was last year. Same thing happened. I got caught in my own mind. I grabbed my bags, and I walked out to Brumbies, and I was going to pick up the kids from boys again from school, and I was like, oh, I'll get them like a cinnamon bun or something.
Yes.
So I'm ordering this shit, and this girl from Coles comes up to me, and she goes, excuse me, taps me on the shoulder. Excuse me, Shaun, could you come back to the store? And I was like, yeah, no worries. In my mind, I'm thinking, I don't know, someone wants a photo, I'll get it,
An autograph.
Bit of an autograph happening. I walk in there, and she goes, and she just like hands me over to the manager. I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm all smiling. And she goes, you haven't paid. I was like, all right.
So this is a
What a
pattern of
dickhead.
this is a pattern of behaviour.
What a dickhead.
Mate, I honestly thought you've been working in breakfast radio for a long time. I thought it'd be quite well paid. Everything okay?
No, on the bones of my ass
do
for
you
you.
do you need to speak to your mum?
Well, you know what I remember? This is what I bring it back to. When I got nailed by Wirrapunda,
Yes.
see, I've never gone off by the...
Taking it back to 2001.
I've never been taken off for concussion. No one's ever registered me in concussion, and all the hits I've taken over my time.
Wow.
And there is a great example. I mean, apart from the fact that I'm a tight ass, as we've all just learned.
I don't want to finish
And
on a
a thief.
serious note, but with what we've seen, I've lost two of my ex-teammates have just retired from concussion-based symptoms.
Yep.
This is going to be the last one, so we are going to finish on a sad note. Brad Shepherd, down
Yeah.
Brambles. Do you think about that?
100%, yeah. So I read the news for my breakfast show, and I make that many fuck-ups. And half the time when I sit around, and this is whilst I'm saying with a smiley face and stuff, I can absolutely worry about what's going on in my brain a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because it's mentally in the morning I'm tired and I don't drink coffee and I'm just slow. But I forget shit all the time. I could be sitting here having a conversation with the guys and trying to talk sport and forget people's names left, right and centre. So yes, I am worried about that. And isn't it funny that I think it's funny?
Well, it is.
No, it's not funny. It's not great. I don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, it's hard. Do you think back and think, would it change anything? Or to finish off, do you just take it and that's how life's gone?
Yeah, I think I just take that's just how life's gone and hope that I take a lot of fish oil and what are the other brain foods out there, Dan? You'd have a handle on this, wouldn't you?
Spinach, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll do as much as I can.
Popeye.
I don't know.
All right, that's it. Done and dusted. Back chat. Shaun McManus, mate. We really appreciate all the time you've given us. I reckon we could sit here for another 4 hours. You keep going. You forgot the time.
I was on a roll.
Any other times you forgot to pay for Sharp?
Please do not apologise. We've had a sick time. Thanks to our sponsors, Whippersnapper, Blue Bet, Margaret River Roasting Co., and of course Shelter, who have got their fair lick of the ice cream. Shawnee Max just looked after them. If you finish up on the Shelters, you can move on to a bit of whiskey to finish up with the Whippersnapper.
I want to have a crack at this Whippersnapper. There's no doubt. I haven't drank whiskey in the past, and then I had pre-season. I had a good session with Peter Bell actually. And Jesus, some good whiskey, and I'm sure Whippersnapper does. I'll be all over it.
I'll tell you what, I reckon we can sort something out for Shawnee Mac. Thank you very much, mate. If you are listening along, you can watch us. This has been filmed. I don't know. Did we tell you this was filming? You got cameras down here, mate. You know that?
Like I'm wearing pants.
Find us on YouTube. Yeah, we've actually got one under the table. YouTube, you can find us. You can have a look at us on social. BackChat _. Just the _, for good luck.
Yep.
You can find us on the website, backchatpodcast.com.au. Send us an email, hello@backchatpodcast.com.au. What am I missing, Dan?
We've done it all.
Okay. It's been fun.
Lovely. Thanks for having us.